Today I'm super excited because all of my ducks are laying, and that includes my Welsh Harlequins. Look at that, 4 eggs here and 2 down here. And I can tell that the Welsh Harlequins were laying first again because I found some eggs out in the middle of the pen and they were just covered in mud. And the older 2 girls know to lay and come and build nests in here. So I've been gathering eggs out of the pen and putting them in the nest of the older 2 girls. So we have 6 today, and I'll definitely be hatching these out. I'm super excited to kind of see what happens. I mean, I can't believe all my girls are laying. And then these 2 we got this week too. The big one is the male. He is the gander. His name is Dorian. And the small one, her name is Nemo. And you can see she's significantly smaller than him. Both of these guys are around 9 months old. So they are a mated pair. And I've had an interesting time. I've seen some people who have Embden Geese say that they start laying. It takes them up to 2 to 3 years. And I have some say that they lay the first year. And so obviously they were hatched this year. And so next year they may actually be old enough to lay. But I'm not incredibly sure because it's my first time owning geese for myself. And you can see he doesn't really like anybody around. He will not chase me. He usually walks away. Even when I was carrying these guys, they have incredibly sharp nails. So holding them on my shirt got ripped to absolute shreds, but they never scratched my skin. They weren't trying to bite me or anything else. They are incredibly gentle. And I grew up, my uncle actually had an entire flock of African geese, and they would chase me. All 10 to 15 of them at one time would get together and chase, and they would take huge chunks of flesh and bite. And so I was always wanting geese because of their ability to kind of turn grass and weeds into fat and an edible product. Their eggs are massive. I cannot wait to show you once they start laying eggs how big they are. But at the very, very best, you're looking at 40 eggs a year. So they don't lay a lot. So the best thing for me is to raise up these geese for meat production. But initially, I'm just going to be raising them up to get more hens and produce kind of breeding pairs. And I might actually sell a few breeding pairs. These geese are not cheap. I paid $200 for these guys, and that was a heck of a deal because of their age and being so close to maturity. And it was worth it for me. We spent a lot of time studying what breed of geese we wanted, and when these came available just a few minutes down the road, I couldn't pass that up. I'm incredibly excited. It's a big investment, so I definitely want to make sure to keep an eye on them and that they have everything that they need. But honestly, we had some issues with chicken hawks. None of them had actually gotten our birds, but they were getting more and more curious, even setting up over here on these containers, staring at the ducks and baby ducks. So I knew it was only a matter of time. And you can hear when predators or dogs, even people that aren't supposed to be here, approach, because these guys don't make their normal sound. They start honking loudly. They'll hiss too, but really they just start honking and opening up their wings, and we haven't had a single issue. The hawks have been staying away since we got these guys. I'm pretty ecstatic about that. They're absolutely beautiful too. Later I think I would like to get maybe some buff geese because the white, especially, it's been raining a lot, as you can see, just so much rain. So I think buff geese would kind of hide some of the muddiness, but these guys are doing a pretty good job of staying clean. We have to change their water much more frequently since they got them. If you think ducks keep their water dirty, they have nothing on gigantic geese. The gander over here, Dorian, he's the one cleaning his feathers. The first day I caught him mounting the hen and trying to breed, so that's a pretty good sign for me. And with the ducks laying eggs again, and some of these girls just started laying, like here's one of my girls that that's a new layer who's laying. I'm pretty ecstatic. So that means maybe it'll get close enough to goose laying season that I'll actually get some eggs, and that's starting. I noticed that Nemo over here, she's been inside of this pen, and I'll go walk over there, but Dorian will probably be upset and make a lot of noise. He's always on edge, this one. I never understood what they meant by geese kind of acting like they're stuck up walking that way, but you can see like he always has his head up really high, and when he gets upset with the ducks, he will run at them with his neck out straight. Now, I've never actually seen him nip one. He's big, and that's scary to little ducks. Now, this was originally the brooder that we built for the ducklings, but, you know, they weren't really interested, to say the least. You know, we couldn't figure out how to get the temperature perfect for ducklings. Now we have it open, and it's a bit cooler outside, and Nemo seems to love it. She's getting in there, digging around, so we're thinking making some more of these as nest boxes for the geese would actually be a really great idea. It's 4 feet by 4 feet, so it's really large, and they tend to stay in this area. They like it even more than our coop. Our coop is not small. I mean, just this coop over here is 64 square feet, so it's a huge area. They have plenty of area to go in, and they go in. Sometimes they'll eat the grain. They really do love, you know, fresh greens and plant material, though. And some of you have been watching for a while. You know this area well. This is where they were just a couple of months ago before we extended this side. And you can see just what a big difference it is when we reseeded all of these collard greens and carrots and some peas over here. It's just a short period of time without the ducks over here has made a huge difference versus over here where they haven't been that long, but it's been raining and it's just a complete muddy mess. I mean, it really is just a nightmare. And so I think before too long we're gonna have to come in and reseed this area too, and I think this is a lot better. The grass has grown up between them, which is nice because it had a hard time keeping grass in there before we started putting the collards and carrots and root crops, like turnips, spreading them around. And the benefit of this is that all the animals can eat this, but we can also eat them. We can eat the carrots, we can eat the collard greens, so it's really nice and great to see how it's coming up. The only issue I have with the geese is that the ducks previously, things like, here you can zoom in on it, this plant, all of these vining plants that I have, once they get to a certain level, that's why they has kind of the protection around it, the ducks couldn't eat them, and so it'd be easy to grow across the fence. But geese, they're 3 feet tall. These guys are huge. They're one of the largest domestic geese there are, and so they can reach all of this. They can even, you can see where they've been reaching way up here, and this is almost to my shoulders and picking off the berries, which is fine. These were grown for the animals, but it's just crazy how big they are compared to ducks, you know. And if you're used to ducks, you'll be quite amazed by the size of your geese. But I'm actually really impressed with these. These are Embden Geese. They're a German variety of geese. I've actually been studying them for a while because there's a study done in 1950s that actually shows that Embden Geese might actually be an auto-sexing breed. More subtle, of course, but they're a breed that has, when they're hatched, the males are a really light yellow and the females tend to have a gray color. And so I'm going to start, when I first start hatching these eggs, I'm going to band the newborns to the ones I think that are male or female and see how accurate that is. And honestly, if it has some accuracy, I might save to breed out the males that are lighter in color and the females that are gray that actually turn out to be the sex I thought them were. Save those for the breeding program, sell the rest, and then go from there. And maybe I can get pretty good set of geese that I can tell male or female from birth on. And I was worried with getting buff geese because I thought, how am I going to tell the difference if they're the same color? And as you can see, there's a huge difference between Dorian here and Nemo over there. Like, he's big. So I don't think that I'll have any problem telling the buff geese apart too if the ganders are significantly larger than the females. Now, as far as these geese go, I don't know if you can tell, but they have true blue eyes. So that's how I know that they're not crossbreeds. They both have blue eyes, and you can tell that they're under a year old because as they begin to age, they get wider and wider. These have this one has a light cream color on his wings, and Nemo over here, she actually has some gray spots under her feathers right there. So that's a pretty good indication that they're about 8 to 9 months old. As they get older, the color will actually become whiter. And so that's another way you can kind of age your geese. But these guys get pretty big. I'm extremely excited. If I can get a flock where I can raise them up on grass and weeds, maybe they can weed out my garden and some of the more established plants like the blackberry plants, that'll be great. I did try to feed them some blackberry leaves because I read that they would eat woodier food and plants, but they actually haven't touched any of the woody food. They're not interested in the blackberry plants or anything else. They are interested in the crops growing below them. So I thought, okay, well, during the times where I'm really focusing on blackberries and not undersowing them, maybe they can come and clean out all those weeds and clean out the insects. They also, I've seen some people say that they're herbivores. That's not necessarily true because I've seen these guys, just since I've got them, eat crayfish, dig them up. They eat smaller insects, chasing after lizards. So they can actually eat quite a bit of different things, and I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I've been amazed just how fast they can swallow up an entire collard green plant. I mean, they just take a whole leaf and it's like it's gone in no time. They don't have the issues with choking or anything else, although they have water everywhere. They don't have the issues that the ducks have with the grain and everything else. Maybe because their mouth's bigger, I'm not sure. But I really am excited to kind of show these guys off. I've never been so excited for livestock before. So these are absolutely my favorites so far. They're really gentle giants for the most part. They herd our ducks around, but they haven't actually hurt the ducks. They just kind of keep them out of the way. One thing that's really cool though that I will say is that Dorian actually has adopted our baby ducklings. Before, when we let the ducklings out, some of the older ducks were actually picking on them. Even these two, these are the moms to the ducklings right here, and this guy, this girl over here, and they didn't want anything to do with the babies. And when I got Dorian and Nemo, they kind of took over and they protect the babies. If the big ducks start picking on them, they start walking over there and run the big ducks off. So the babies have been able to live happy and have areas to themselves, drink water, play without anybody harassing them. So I'm really proud of what good parents these geese have turned out to be. And I'm really excited. With my ducks, I don't let them hatch out their eggs because the one time that we did, they actually, when a baby hatched, they ended up killing it because they kept pecking it on the head. By the time I even knew that the eggs were hatching, it was too late. And so I ended up hatching the rest of the eggs in the incubator and saying, you know what, right now it's just, I'm not letting them hatch eggs. But I feel confident that the geese would hatch not just duck eggs, but their own eggs, and be excellent parents of those, just based off of what I've seen with them adopting the ducklings that I have here. So if you're thinking about getting these geese, I really recommend it. They are loud, they do honk, but it's not an all the time thing. It's just kind of an alert thing. Really, they have softer vocals that they use to talk to each other. And as far as hissing goes, yes, they do hiss at me, especially Dorian, but he's really noticed that I'm the one who brings the food and that I don't cause them harm. So he tends to be quieter when I'm around versus when other people come that he doesn't know. I truly think that geese can tell the difference between the different types of, between different people, faces, builds. You know, they're really intelligent as far as poultry goes. I would easily say they're probably some of the most intelligent birds you can own. So I really hope you kind of enjoyed learning about these guys. I'm ecstatic. I cannot wait to show off how they blend in with our flocks, the new babies that will be hatching from our Welsh Harlequins, the future babies coming from these two. And here's a sign right here just how muddy their water has gotten, especially with the pin being muddy. Like, we change this out a couple times a day and it's just filthy, you know. Everything's muddy right now. It's just no getting around it, unfortunately. Ducks and geese can be quite messy animals, but they really are great.